We've had this conversation, and you seem to agree with me. But when there's complications, you withdraw and leave me to be.
Hi, I'm Alain Brio. Are you having problems with your serve? This video, we're going to go through very interesting ways that you can develop a throwing motion on your serve, okay? One of the big problems that people have is when they serve, their arm is kind of stiff. So that when they're hitting their serve, they're kind of going like this when they should be bending their arm and hitting the ball. When you throw a ball, what happens is you bring your arm, you bring the ball close to your ear. Notice my arm is bent, right? So as I go into the motion, my arm is bent, and then I throw the ball forward. That's what we need to do with the racket, right? So we need to bring the racket close to you. See, notice my arm is bent, and then we throw it, okay? And so what we're gonna go through is how exactly to achieve this so that you can serve better. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is very unorthodox. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this tennis ball and I'm gonna put the tennis ball right between my forearm and my bicep. And by doing this, you'll see how I'm gonna hit the ball. Okay, I need 2 balls to do this, right? So I'm going to put the tennis ball between my forearm and my bicep, and I'm gonna toss, right? By doing that, you're already training yourself to keep your arm in a bent position. This is critical for the serve, okay? If your arm is like this, you can't be a great server, you can't be a great thrower. You can be a great javelin thrower, but you can't throw, right? And so the difference between throwing a baseball and tennis serving is in throwing the baseball, you're projecting your hand forward. In tennis, we're projecting the hand up, right? And so this is the thing we've got to do, right? So now the next thing I'm going to show you is another way that you can hit an effective serve. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to put the ball on a racket like this, okay? And by doing this, this keeps your hand facing down. And we need that, right? The palm needs to face down. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna make the toss and we hit the serve. And by doing that, by keeping the ball here like this, see, my hand stays down. And that's the key, right? So that we make the toss, the hand is down, and then we hit it. So watch one more time, right? So keep the hand down like this. Practice doing this at home, right? And by practicing doing this, you will learn to keep your hand down. The biggest mistake that people make is the following. They hit their serve, they open their hand, and they do that, right? And by opening the hand, you're killing the power, right? So, put the ball on the yoke. And that's how you hit a great serve. So, you've seen me put the ball right between my forearm and the elbow. You see me do the 2-ball serve with the ball on the yoke. Now, there's a particular sequence that you've got to follow in order to make the serve work. So, I'm going to speak louder now. When you make the motion, you bring your racket out to the right while the toss is going in the air. You bring the racket to your left, and then you throw your racket again to the right. So the sequence is right, left, right, or kind of more like forward. But just stick with right, left, right. and you'll see how this works. Right, left, right. So when you do this, it's important that your outer self commands your inner self to follow the instructions. Because what do a lot of people do when they're serving? Their inner self is psyching the outer self out. It's your outer self that hits the ball. Your inner self is, you need to turn that off completely. And so by verbalizing the commands, you can make the serve work. So let's watch it once again, right? And the key is to say it out loud. Right, left, right. Right? See how that works? Right? And it's okay to say it out loud, right? You know, you hear tennis players all the time. They're grunting, huh, when they're hitting the ball like that. That's perfectly all right, right? But the outer self needs to take control. There are too many moving parts on the serve. There are too many things to think about. You know, is my toss good enough? You know, is my swing right? You know, am I holding the racket properly? Etc. Okay? So, you can't do any of this unless you have a continental grip. Okay? So, here we have the second bevel. Your knuckle needs to be on the second bevel of the racket. Okay? So, once again, here we go. Right, left, right. Key thing to practice, you don't even need to make a toss. Just get used to having the elbow, the ball in between your forearm and the elbow, right? Practice doing that. Okay? The next thing you practice is keeping the ball, right? And practice keeping your hand down. See how my elbow, right? When I make the right to left, look where my elbow is, right? And since my elbow is right there, that is going to ensure that I have great contact, okay? So, and then you have to say it out loud, right? Right, left, right. You do these things, you're gonna serve a lot better, I guarantee it. I'm Alain. I teach tennis here in Helsinki, Finland. I hope you found this helpful. Now go out and practice your serve. You can do it just like a minute or two every day. Just keep doing a little by little by little. Give yourself some time and you will see that the serve is going to come around. And boy, once you hit it, the truth presents itself. You hit that ball beautifully, it goes right to the middle of your brain, and you know you've done it right. Remember, your outer self is who's playing tennis. Your inner self is trying to, make you think about something. There's no thinking about this. You know what to do. Let the outer self take control of the inner self, and you'll serve great. See ya.
We've had this conversation, and you seem to agree with me. But when there's complications, you withdraw and leave me to be. When there's a problem, you become like a wall. And every time I trip, it's a free fall. Why don't you